Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Schmidt here. I'm really excited to bring in one of my good friends, Tom Licklider. Tom is a web strategist for my agency, and I have him here because he just reached one of his, or actually his biggest month ever in the agency. Yes, Tom is an all-star, but he also uses the playbook to do all the sales that he does, and I'd love for him to share his story with you guys. So, Tom, welcome, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm pretty excited.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, Tom, take me back, all the way back to the time, before you started working, and as you're coming on to work for Anchor Wave. What was going on, and what was life like?
Well, so before Anchor Wave, obviously I had sales experience, but I lived in the payroll and HR world for 20 years prior to coming to Anchor Wave. So, I mean, I had sales experience, but I had zero experience in selling marketing or digital marketing or web anything. And, I'm a little bit of an old school guy, so it was an adjustment, to say the least. So that was kind of a little bit of my history prior to Anchor Wave.
Right, right. So what breakthroughs or kind of epiphanies did you have along the way? Kind of those aha moments as you started to sell and kind of come up to speed of selling web and digital marketing services and working for Anchor Wave.
So, the biggest thing was obviously the training about the different aspects of what digital marketing is and the types of results that digital marketing produces for companies. It made a big difference because, that way I could learn to apply that to my presentation. And of course, we didn't have the playbook when I started. And so it was a bit of a struggle, I'll be honest. And it was a lot of training from Anthony, from AJ, of course, and yourself to walk me through a lot of the pieces that I needed to know. But it wasn't until the playbook came that it really, really started clicking for me.
That's awesome. So, one of the things you touched on is that, it's important for a client to understand, how it is that the services that you offer actually influence customer activity, right? And when they're super clear about that, it leads to a much different kind of conversation with that client. What would you say about that?
Absolutely. And identifying where they're at, how much they've done in digital marketing, how much they've done in any type of marketing, what kind of results that they've seen, and clearly identifying their level of understanding of digital marketing helps. So then when you do the presentation, you know where you're at in speaking with them and presenting to them and what kind of experience that they've had in the past and how it went and why. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, I find that, talking to a client, and if they feel like there's a lot of jargon and things they don't understand, it becomes a lot more difficult for them to really get on board with moving forward.
Yeah, no question. And clearly, I don't have that problem with clients because I don't have that type of tech knowledge. But you're absolutely right. If you start getting into the weeds too much, you can see their head tilt and they don't get it. So making it easy, clear, and giving them a really clearly defined roadmap is what, in my opinion, makes the playbook so incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you're going to go somewhere, you pull up Google Maps. Google Maps basically needs two pieces of information for you to be successful, right? Like, number one, we need to know where you're going, right? And number two, we need to know where you're starting.
Right.
And the mistake I see a lot of people make that I've seen you fix in your presentations in leveraging the playbook is that you're not only outlining where they're going, but you're also really helping them clarify and understand where they're at. And that's the piece that I think a lot of people who are selling these types of services absolutely miss out on.
Yeah, it was, I don't know if this was going to be part of our subject to speak about today, but the initial discussion to me is just critically important. I think that is just as important as the presentation itself. If you just blow right into a presentation, you haven't identified any needs, you haven't identified anything that they've done in the past. Like you just said, you haven't identified where you're at now and where you want to be, and that bridge that we're going to get there is the playbook. So the ID is critically important also.
All right. So for those that are not familiar with the ID, could you share what that is?
Here it is right here. The initial discussion is a question and answer. It's a step-by-step pre-playbook, if you will, that helps you to identify where they're at, what they do, what kind of customers they want, what kind of target market they're trying to get to, what areas that they've explored in digital marketing and how did it work. Just you have to know these things in advance. You have to, we used to say all the time, you got to start filling up your gun with bullets long before you pull it out. And so the initial discussion will help you to identify those needs. And what I like to do is leading questions that I know are going to lead right into the playbook when I do the playbook. So asking those questions in advance and getting them to shake their head, yep, I need that, yep, that's an issue, yep, that's an area. Then when I'm building up all these, then when I do the playbook, I'm just knocking them all down.
So a big reason people are watching this right now is they want to know how much did you sell so far in this month?
At this month now, I'm at 84,000 and change.
That's incredible. And so when we hear a number like that, that is super, people aspire to do what you've done. We just want to know the details, man. So tell us about kind of the progress and the types of clients that how did you find them? What are the things that you're the types of businesses that you're working with? What give us the dirt, man.
So I'm clearly involved in a lot of different networking associations, and I've leveled up my networking to not just the obviously like BNIs are great and chambers are great, and I go to those networking associations. Those are great, but now I've leveled up into more of a kind of an executive level marketing, and so that's been very, very helpful. AnchorWave gives me leads. I just gotta say, AnchorWave's awesome about providing some leads for me. And then also I do a lot of follow-up. We use HubSpot, and HubSpot is a really great tool for me to identify clients or prospects that I've talked to in the past and just keep them on my tickler. And so it's tasks that come up and say, hey, it's time to call this guy, time to call this guy. And so I'm constantly doing that. So I do a lot of different types of prospecting and networking. I also do a lot of what we call strategic alliances. So I have tech companies, I have copier companies, I have phone companies, all these business to business type companies that I network with. I take them out to lunch, I give them referrals, they give me referrals. So I do a lot of that too. So multiple avenues of getting business.
That's incredible. So Tom, what does the future look like for you here? You've just come on your top month here. Are you feeling strong? And what is the next couple months and over the next year look like for you?
Oh, I have. I'm just beginning. 84,000 is my biggest month I've ever had at AnchorWave, and I'm looking at trying to get to that $100,000 a month. So I'm excited, but it's behind me. I'm moving forward even stronger. And I have some huge prospects. I have a couple of law firms that have, 15 lawyers in each of these law firms that I'm going after for website and for digital marketing. I got 3 other marketing hubs, websites that I have lined up for proposals in the next couple of weeks, week and a half. So it's only starting.
Well, you set your set your flag a couple months ago, and you told AJ, what did you tell him you were doing?
I told him that I'm going to exceed AnchorWave's biggest month and biggest year ever. That's my goals.
And you're on your way to it, man. So well done. For those of you guys watching this and want to know about the playbook, you want to know how an agency, like you heard Tom describe, is providing him leads, consistently. You want to know how Tom is leveraging strategic alliances and strategies to help build his sales pipeline, and then making sure that each of the sales that come in have the biggest opportunity, the best opportunity to close, and for a dollar amount that actually makes your agency's and your life change. That's what Agency Coach is all about. I'd love to invite you into a coaching call with our director of coaching, where we can explore where you're at right now, take a look at your business and identify specifically what are the actions and items you can specifically dive into to make these kind of changes in your agency, so you also can be just like Tom here, who is having one of the biggest months ever. And by the looks of it, Tom, really, really happy about it.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. I was just joking with Mike. Clearly, I'm a mountain biker. I just bought a new bike and I'm paying it off in one payment.
Beautiful. That's incredible. Tom, any parting words for the agencies that are watching here?
I would say, I've been in sales for a long, long time. And I've worked for, national Fortune 300 corporations. I own my own business for 10 years. I've never had such an easy, systematic way of presenting and closing business than the playbook. It just, I had a presentation earlier this week, and they're probably going to spend $2,500, $3,000 a month. And when we were done, she said, "This was perfect, Tom. You identified exactly what I needed. You walked me through from the beginning all the way up the steps of the pyramid of the playbook, and it made it really, really easy for me to make a decision." So it works. It really works. The one thing I love about AnchorWave is we're very systematic in how we work with our clients. We're not going to sell you something you're already doing. We're not going to sell you something that's not going to be effective. We identify where your needs are, what's going to be the most effective way to use your investment in digital marketing and get your money and get your return on it. So I love it. I think the playbook is phenomenal. And everybody I present it to thinks it's phenomenal.
Well, Tom, congratulations on $84,000 in a month. And by my watch, at the time of this recording, month ain't over.
Month ain't over, baby.
And for those of you guys that love to take us up on that coaching opportunity with our director of coaching, go ahead and click on the link around this video, and we'll see you on the call.